Hey guys, welcome back on the channel. Great results today, yield farming on PancakeSwap, Solana's liquidity pools. Pretty much the market has been only going up, and it reflects not only in the pending yield but also in the appreciation of all of the positions. My last video on this, I showed you my mess ups, which pretty much were having a too big of an exposure to these pools, but it was a calculated risk, and actually the bet did pay out. Even in this bigger position that started being worth $150, right now it's a bit down because the current price is below my range. You can see that even here I'm holding 100% of my position in the shape of cards because of that. My downside is at 26 cents and the price is 21, but it did pay out handsomely. This is at around 20% of my initial deposit in less than 1 week, if I want to be fair, because the price of cards has not been trading within my range for the most part of this past week. But overall, all of these positions put together have a combined value of $350. It's still $50, actually a bit more, probably $60, $70 below the total worth when the market started to go down a couple of weeks ago. But it has been paying off for this past week. This is the pending yield. I did collected here and there during the week when the markets were going up, so I had to readjust ranges. I have this pending yield, $63. It's made up of mostly cake, $40 worth of cake, the rest all of the other tokens. And if I go here in my cake holdings, these are just cake tokens that I have been yielding for this past week. Actually more than a week, this is probably 1.5 weeks. We are talking about the very minimum $110 worth of yield, although this is just cake, right? If I would sum up 50 plus 40, it's $90 worth of cake, $20 of the remaining tokens that I have been farming. And like I said, as I adjust positions, necessarily I have to collect, so there's more yield on top of that, probably at around $120 in the very least, that all of these positions have yielded for this past, let's call it, week and a half. I did not monitor it all that much, so I cannot give you extreme precision when it comes to that, but this is what happens if you take a risk and it pays out. Most of this yield, as you can see here, $32 worth of this yield are coming from cards token, which was a risk that I did take. At some point it lost a lot of value, this $150, which initially I had 150. It went down all the way to $70 or $60. If I show you here the chart, this is useless, so let me go back. Cards, here it is. At some point the token was worth $10. It was rough just looking at it and see that the value is going down, but it was a bet that I did knowing the risk, and I anticipated for it to go back up, which luckily it did, and it did pay out. But it was a risk that I took knowing that we are in a bull market. So I knew that probably the price would bounce back up, getting me some more yield, so really good results because of that. This is not the best performance, okay? And actually the reason why I'm doing the video is mostly because of that. So all of these other positions, some I opened in the meanwhile, some pools I changed, I withdrew liquidity, I moved to some other pools. I had some $100 or something in Jito. No longer I am farming Jito. I might go back to it in the future, let's see. But this goes to show, guys, that if I had kept this same strategy for all of the pools here, I might have gone out of range for, I don't know, a week, a couple weeks. But then when prices would bounce back up as they did, all of these liquidity positions put together would be worth back to the $400, $410 in value plus the yield. But right now all of these are worth $350 plus this yield, and the cake that I am holding, everything put together is at around $450. So it's not all that bad. So I'm still on the green, but potentially it could be even better if I didn't touch any of this. But if you've been watching my videos, you know I keep saying this, I do prefer to yield farm with wide ranges. These are narrow ranges. I know this can work. It's still not optimal for me, but I kind of enjoy doing this and recording and showing what is the potential of yield farming on liquidity pools, especially the ones that are being incentivized. And actually, if it wasn't for the cake incentives, I wouldn't be doing this with such narrow ranges. I think PancakeSwap is a really good DEX to do that because they are very generous when it comes to incentivized liquidity. You can find even blue chip assets, liquidity pools that are being handsomely incentivized with cake. So for example, in this one here, Camino USDC, this is a very low pool fee tier, meaning that it will not generate all that much in trading fees. Although you see here 150% APR on trading fees, usually these pools will not give you all that big of results, although they can when markets are very active. It's not uncommon that you see a liquidity pool with this pool fee tier to outperform the same pair but on pools that have 1% fee tier. So it's not unlikely, but as you can see, like the cake incentives are pretty much why I'm here, providing liquidity to Camino, and this applies for all of the other positions here, of course. But the whole point of the video is just to tell you, whenever markets are down, especially in a bull run, do not freak out, do not lock in some impermanent loss. I did do that, and probably I should have just let things sit, wait for things to bounce back up as they did here with cards, for example, and it turned out really good. So far, right? I don't know what the future holds, but I'm planning to hold this token in the long run, right? And I can actually show you here my short list for liquidity pools on Solana. Most of these right now are on the green. This one is even double digits green. It's useless. Useless and Launchcoin have been doing very well when it comes to yield farming for the past months. They've been performing exceptionally well. There's still some red here. Yeah, cards is 9% down, but cards went up to at around 30 cents not long ago. In this past weekend, I believe it hit 30 cents. And that's also why you see that huge yield on that LP. So yeah, it hit 30 something cents, 35 cents. But overall, you see everything is back on the green. Although Pump is also 6% down, but again, Pump did also meet some resistance lately. So this was yesterday. It went up to 0.007, and 3 days ago it was 75 even. Is this all-time high? If not, it's very close to. No, it's not all-time high. All-time high, it's here, I believe, at 88. Now it's facing some resistance. Let's see if it holds this floor. Hopefully it does. It means more profits. It means that this range will be keeping earning fees for a couple days, maybe a week more, let's see. But yeah, so think twice before locking in impermanent loss. If that happens and you are too eager about closing and opening positions, this can give you a couple of hints. Maybe you are overexposing yourself and not diversifying enough, or you can also be chasing yields. And in the long run, chasing yields, I don't think it's going to work out the best for yield farmers, especially in the case when there's some price manipulation from specific tokens and there's like these huge squeezes when prices meet a certain level. These manipulations are just meant to liquidate people on some open leverage positions. So you gotta pay attention to that. Most of the times, if you are just holding, even if it's a meme, for example, SPX, a meme that has been around for a while, likely it will bounce back. Same thing as Bonk. Bonk is right now up 5% for the past 24 hours, but at some point, Bonk also dipped double digits. I think this also, yeah, so you see here, it did not perform the best since mid-September. Up until now, it's down 22%. So if you get in at this price and set a very tight range to just yield farm because you're chasing yields, you can wake up to your position being worth 20% less, and then you lock in permanent loss because you want to keep generating yields. You open a new position. But if you wait it out, I don't know how long it will take. Potentially, if it's something like Bonk, which is a meme coin that has been around for a while, potentially in these market conditions it will bounce back up. So let's see, actually this resistance here from September the 13th is a price level that we saw before, you see, 1 month before. So can it mean that in mid-October, like in the next week or so, will it be back at this level? I don't know, but potentially, yeah. Of course, all of this that I'm talking about, it goes out of the window if you're just setting in wide ranges, working with multiple hour candle charts, maybe even daily charts. And if you are doing that, you can see that this is a chart since the beginning of the year. So we're talking about, let's see, overall 70% price fluctuation. Actually, let me go with daily candles so we can fit all of this in the screen. But this is not all that bad, because the cool thing about working with wide ranges is that you have a wider look, literally a wider look at the market. So although there's 70% range here, there's a ton of volume, especially when you see these massive rallies. I keep saying this on my videos, guys, but until you experience this, and the people who are watching and have experienced this, they will be able to know and tell you the same thing. So let everyone know in the comments if that has been your case whenever you experience these massive rallies. So let's see how much of a rally this is. So we're talking about something at around 170%, maybe 200. Yeah, so you see this past resistance here, it was the same. So had you set this resistance as your upside range, you would have been able to ride this on the way up and make a bunch of money if in the meanwhile you had compounded. Now I know that the lower price here at around this level, it's not something that we saw in the recent past. I mean, we are already looking at 2024 and the price didn't hit that. But even if we take this lower price here as an example, as a model, and we had set up our LP positions to be wide enough to catch all of this, it would be something at around this range. So overall 60%. And then it's only a matter of compounding, but I know that there's this spot here where it did go out of range. So in this case, you gotta hold. There's no going around it. But it's all about conviction. It's all about, are you willing to hold? That is the first thing you gotta ask yourself before opening a LP position. And then if the answer is yes, at some point it will pay out in the long run. Granted that it is a token with a good community behind, of course. And some of these memes on Solana, they have big communities behind. Like Bonky is a big one. I keep mentioning Fartcoin. Fartcoin price right now is 68. This can go still up to $1. Not financial advice, but that's what I think looking at this market, how it has been performing. Right now the volume is not the best. You see liquidity 21 million, volume 1.6, but it can potentially pay out in the future. So that being said, guys, hope you took value from the video. Make sure you pick some winners. If you are in doubt, go with blue chips. You will not have crazy yields compared with meme coins, but consistently you will see that Solana and the stablecoin, if you are on Solana, if you are on EVM blockchains, Ethereum and USDC, they will perform steadily in the long run. Bear market, bull market, they will perform. Okay guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. Drop a comment if you have any questions. If you are yield farming also with wide ranges and that have experienced massive gains in those rallies, let everyone know how it works, because it does work. And thank you for watching. Take care. Keep exploring crypto, guys. I'll see you on the next one.